freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your mega preview pod for this week's Wyndham Championship. Joining me to break it all down, Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick, good day.
Good day, fellas. What's going on? Battling some injuries this time of year, going into the playoffs, coming down with a little something. We're talking medicine in the green room, but you got to power through. It's what the pros do, and you got to figure a way to get it done.
A true flu game situation for Patrick this week. Greg DuCharme is here. Gregors, hey, buddy.
What's going on, boys? I am not coming down with anything. Fortunately, no flu game for me, so I'm at top notch, full tank at the end of the season, feeling fresh, feeling ready to go.
The conversation we were just having was with Tom Kim not defending this week because of injury. Was there anybody else this year who did not defend their title? Now, we threw out a couple of live guys, some guys who, graduated from some of like the alternate field events. So if you're in the chat, we're looking for a regular full field event in which a golfer was eligible to defend and they did not. I think it had to have happened before, Greg. I just can't think. I'm scrolling through now and I can't find one yet.
Yeah, I think there's a couple with the live players. Cam Smith, Joaquin Neiman.
Yeah.
Hudson Swafford is Patrick with quite a pull.
How do you forget that one?
But other than that, I can't think of any. So there's a lot of events on the schedule during the season. I think they pretty much everybody defends, which is a cool thing about the PGA Tour.
I just checked both of. I thought Sam Burns, who had Sanderson Farms and Valspar, and I thought maybe with him playing a lot of elevated events. I guess I should check that one too. I thought that he might. Did he defend at Colonial?
Yeah, I think he came in tied 6th.
So that was what I was kind of looking for, but I couldn't find one yet. I'm still looking.
Pretty cool.
We were planning on, Patrick, probably just having the FedEx Cup bubble conversation and what does so-and-so need to do to get in, right? There's only so much we probably could have talked about on this Tuesday. However, the golf content gods shined down on us, gave us a nice push notification this morning that actually deterred you, sent you back to the desk, Patrick. You got to write some more, huh?
Unbelievable. Yeah, I was going out, going to pick up some medicine, some Zicam. That's what I'm working with this week. I get a little ring on my phone from our Slack channel, and it's like, we need this now. And I just see Tiger Woods, name player director, sprint back in there like Usain Bolt, sub 440, most likely. Unofficial. And I get the job done because, like I said, it's that time of year. You got to batten down the hatches and just go to work.
The headline: PGA Tour agrees with players on new governance. That's a good word. And transparency measures, welcomes Tiger Woods as a policy board member. I will spare you the super boring details, but the gist of it is, as a part of new transparency and governance measures, Tiger Woods has agreed to join the tour's policy board as a 6th player director. So now the board will include 6 player directors, 5 independent directors, and the PGA of America director. So, Greg, I will get into more of these details, but what this in essence does is swing the balance of power of the board towards the players. They now have the biggest chunk of voice, so to speak.
Yes, and also, they're going to any. There's a potential gray area here, but any future shifting, monumental decision, is going to be made with the player director's input first, which has probably never needed before. Most of the big things that happen on the PGA Tour before Live, as far as the direction of the tour, have been, who's going to sponsor. Like, we're going to get FedEx to sponsor, and there's going to be a big payout at the end of the year for you. Like, as a player, I don't need input on that. So we haven't really, like, that's great for me. Everything has been to enhance the ability for the players on the PGA Tour. So there's been very little need to know situations that are future shifting like this. And now all of a sudden there's really big future decisions. The structure, the layout of the PGA Tour as we know it feels like it's in the air to some degree right now. So I find that to be an interesting aspect. The other aspect that I find interesting is that this comes from 41 players, including Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, and
Bryce Garnett
players. Bryce Garnett, right?
Eric
I'm sure
Verlander.
There's a number. You got 41 guys that send a letter to the PGA Tour on Monday, and this comes out on Tuesday, and that's a pretty swift form of action. So I think the PGA Tour right now is in this mode of regaining trust of players, and they want to do anything they can to make the players feel like their voice is heard. This is a step in the right direction. Now, I have a concern with this right now, because also, like I said earlier, never before have there been future swaying decisions to be made where player input would be required at this kind of level. There also haven't really been very many decisions with a deadline like this, right? A January 1st deadline. And I think that's a big aspect because now you've added voices, you've added input, and anytime you add input, decisions take longer to make. Like if I ask my kids what they want to eat, I'm going to get two different answers. Right? Because they're both going to want something different, and there's going to be a discussion about it, an argument, tears, all of that. Whereas if I just give them something, there still may be tears, but the decision time is is a lot less, and they're going to be in something a whole lot healthier. So when you add voices into discussions, decisions tend to take longer. That's my biggest concern.
Yeah. So this memo would go on to say that the tour, the players, Commissioner Monahan are going to amend the policy board's governing documents to make it clear that, quote, no major decision can be made in the future without the prior involvement of and approval of the player directors. Secondly, the player director's special advisor, that's Colin Neville, will be fully aware of the state of the negotiations contemplated by the framework agreement and provided with all the access of documents and information that he needs to carry out his duties. There will also be this commitment to full transparency moving forward, and Tiger Woods getting that coveted spot as player director on the board. To me, Patrick, Greg is right. The PGA Tour has a trust and transparency issue. Tiger Woods is the answer to that issue.
Well, I would say Jay Monahan has a trust and transparency issue.
I 100% agree that Jay Monahan has a trust and transparency issue, not the PGA Tour.
And I think he showed his cards last week with that player's memo that was leaked, where you have all these governing bodies. When they make a decision, it's a press release. The PGA Tour's, what if that player memo was never leaked? What if the Athletic never got its hands on it? It was kind of just thrown into random news that Jason Gore got promoted, that Patrick Cantlay and Webb Simpson are going to be on this search committee for Randall Stevenson's replacement. And, just for clarity, Tiger's not replacing Randall Stevenson. They still have to add another person to this board. And he kind of just threw that in there. And to me, it came across as, I am Jay Monahan and I need job security ASAP. I need to appease to the players who, all of them, don't want to want anything to do with the rollback, except, Rory's been on record saying if the ball is rolled back, he'd probably play that rolled back ball in PGA Tour competition.
Which is a nightmare for the PGA Tour.
Exactly. I mean, you say it without saying it type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of showed his hand where all he really cares about right now, after pulling off this deal behind everyone's back, is damage control and job security. And so for the PGA Tour players to pounce on this like they did, kudos to them. And to Greg's point, I really have two main questions. And the first one is that timeline. It has to be in jeopardy. When you add new voices to the table, like it says there, Colin Neville, who only spells his name with one L, bit of a red flag in my opinion, is going back and forth between the players. He's kind of the middleman. He gets to see all the details, all the documents, all the negotiating going back and forth. And this is the same guy who was at the Delaware meeting last year as well. Mm-hmm. So they know him quite well. You add all these voices, like a Rory McIlroy who says, I hate live. I still hate live. You got the live boys still saying, Phil Mickelson still tweeting, we're still fine. We're going to do great. So now you're really going to push these guys in a pinch where that last one, player directors have the authority to approve or deny any changes to the tour as part of the framework agreement discussions. Okay, well, Yasser wants these guys to play, one team event a year. Rory's like, not happening. You're just adding more and more budging back and forth. And it's August 1st. You've got 5 months, August, September. I think that's 5 full months to figure this all out. And you add more voices. Greg, congrats. You got more kids. You got 5 more kids to feed.
That's a problem.
Is Tiger Woods, and I think the answer is yes, he's the only guy that the players would care about to be put in a position like this. He is the impenetrable one who turned down close to $1 billion, stayed loyal. They have basically taken his vision, his words. We've heard this throughout the last 2 years. Hey, if Tiger doesn't like it, I don't like it. Or when we get to the Delaware meeting, who was running the show there? Who flies in with Ricky just for the meeting? Tiger does, right? Don't forget about Ricky. So the idea, and I'm not sure if this makes it more likely that the framework agreement becomes a reality or less likely, but Tiger Woods has the sway of all of these names and then some.
The beauty of this is, while there's 5 more mouths to feed, there's one representative, and I think that having, again, go back to the kids analogy, or we can shift to a political analogy. The executive branch can make decisions a whole lot quicker than Congress because it's one guy against a whole lot of people. And when you have someone like Tiger Woods sitting there, his voice and his sway can take these 5 players and unite them together. There were these rumors about a coup that was being started with Patrick Cantlay. I don't know whether that's true or not, but
Cantlay. Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to call out Patrick Cantlay in any way here. I'm just saying, if one of these 5 players has an ulterior motive and wants to halt this deal, in essence, that becomes possible with this news. But I also think it's a whole lot harder to do when you have Tiger Woods sitting there, and do you really want to try to pull something off that's on the shady side to benefit yourself in front of Tiger Woods? I think that's going to be a whole lot harder to do. So, impenetrable, Rick, is a great word to explain Tiger. But the hope for me is that they understand how important it is for the tour's future success to get a deal done. And at some point, you're going to have to make compromises. You're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. Things are going to be in there that you don't like. But hopefully that's for a long-term benefit.
Yeah, I think, well, when the player's first demand, according to the Washington Post, was to put Tiger on the board. That was like number one. Like, you got to put him on the board. We already talked to him behind your back. He said yes. No offense, you weren't in that conversation, Jay. And I think the second point is we talk about this majority being 6-5 in the player's favor. The PGA director, or PGA of America director, John Lindert, I guess he does have a voting right per the Washington Post, but he doesn't usually exercise it.
He abstains.
So, if Jay and the rest of them guys, Jimmy, Eddie, they all want to throw a Hail Mary, it's probably going to be kissing the feet of Johnny Boy.
That is interesting. It's truly, we've entered full succession.
Right.
I mean, we can start making those comps at any point here. The thing about this, and Patrick, I'm going to go back to you here because you were kind of getting down this road where Tiger Woods, and Josh threw this in the chat as well, I think he kind of streamlines things a little bit, right? Because I think now what Tiger wants is what most players are probably going to agree. So he streamlines kind of that side of things, but just the public discourse of, have we gotten any closer to making framework reality? Phil Mickelson is letting us know none of the live guys want to be a part of this. Why would they? They've got the best end of the deal, right? They don't want to be a part of this. You've got trust issues on Jay Monahan's side of things. We've got a ticking time bomb. We have a schedule that is apparently going to be released for next year, next week. We've got a lot of stuff to figure out and not a lot of time to do it. Does the news from today, in your opinion, make it more likely framework comes to reality or less likely?
That's a very good question, because you would think there's a somewhat united front now. Kevin Streelman talked about it, saying, Jay said a lot of the right things last week in the PAC meeting. You have this come to light. I mean, what could Jay Monahan have done if he said no to these 41 players? If he was like, you know what, Tiger Woods, sorry, buddy. Like, does that scenario ever cross his mind? I don't think it does.
Not because if he likes his job.
He's in such a pickle. He's up against the ropes that he has to do it. And the players felt that. Does this mean the framework agreement is streamlined? I don't think so. Because even though Tiger Woods is this voice, there's just so many differing opinions on this. Still, even on the PGA Tour, it comes across as a united front. Not everyone has the same opinion on it. There's
a chance Tiger punts this, Greg, right? And it's just like, this stinks. Why? These guys aren't going to play team events. They're not going to do this, that, and the other thing. And also, Tiger does have to, I think Tiger's obviously a good representative for a lot of reasons, but the idea that he doesn't, outside of money, which he doesn't need and has already turned down, he doesn't necessarily have to, he shouldn't be thinking for himself. This is a guy that, if we're lucky, is going to play 4 times a year for the next, like, if we're lucky, right? So he is only looking out for everybody else because he is kind of so far removed from the game right now.
Right. It doesn't matter what happens. I mean, he does have an event on the PGA Tour, one event, but again, he has the Hero World Challenge. He is one of the very few players who can create an event with no tour attached and have some of the best players of the world there.
Tour, you'd get the same players, the same venue, the same people, nothing would change.
So he's largely unaffected.
Right.
More so than anybody else. I do think that's a good thing to have on your side. But he doesn't have anything really to lose. Right. So if he takes a hard stance and says this isn't worth it, and it ends up going badly for the PGA Tour, you kind of have created a little bit of a problem. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm not saying that's going to, and I doubt it will. I think that that Tiger Woods also has an effect on Yasser, right? I think he affects the other side in the negotiating table. And if there's ever a situation where he wants to sit down in a meeting with Yasser, I think Tiger has a little bit of pull there, right? I mean, you have this opportunity to get into that world, and I think that's an attractive thing to the PIF to be a part of that. So the question, just like in any negotiation, is who wants it more and who has more to lose. And I know that the PGA Tour has a lot to lose. I don't know what the PIF has to lose. And they may feel like they have a lot, like they have to get the deal done. My concern is that they don't. That's the concern to me, but they might. So I don't know how all that's going to play out. And then I just wanted to add one more thing on Jay Monahan. And I think this speaks in a positive light to him, because I do think he had another option. He could have gotten a definitive agreement done without player consent, right? This could get signed, sealed, and delivered. He could bend the knee to Yasser, if you will, gotten this done, and cemented himself as the CEO of this framework agreement. And players would have been really upset. But he could have built in job security, I think. Maybe not, but it feels like he could have pushed this down the road a little bit farther, and it would have been very demonstrative. It would have been the wrong thing to do, but he could have gone that way. And I think the fact he didn't, I mean, he doesn't want to deal with that kind of stuff. I really do think he wants to do what's best for the players, and this is at least a step in showing that.
Let's get Pat.
I think the Tiger points really interesting from Greg, where we could have a little, you could call it negotiating, you could call it quid pro quo, where we saw it there in the initial framework agreements, how bad Yasser and PIF wanted Tiger. You think about him owning a live golf team, him playing 10 times in a year, him going to Saudi Arabia. They wanted 10
times in his backyard a year.
Yeah, it was literally one of Greg's kids was putting it together. It's like, we want more Tiger. We want to see Tiger all the time. Where Tiger, if he is doing this out of the goodness of his heart and for the legacy of the PGA Tour and what everyone wants to assume, which we have no real reason not to, he could be like, you know what, Yasser? Fine. I'll play once in Saudi Arabia for you. I'll do it. And then get all this come back in PGA Tour's favor. Like Greg said, a little give and take.
Listen, I can't do 10, but I could do 1.
Exactly. Drop that 0.
Tiger, we'd love to have you.
Exactly.
We'd love to have you.
So I think that'll be very interesting. If that, I assume it'll be brought up some way, shape, or form.
Let's really go off the rails here. What is the likelihood in the next 5 weeks, months, years, Tiger Woods is the commissioner of the PGA Tour? That's part 1. Part 2 is way, way crazier.
No, I don't think he'll do it.
He doesn't want a full-time job.
Why does he need to do it?
Yeah.
No, he can be the quasi commissioner.
He basically is.
He basically is. So he doesn't need to tackle the responsibilities of, signing corporate deals.
Okay. Part 2. This one keeps me up at night. What is stopping Tiger Woods from rounding up his billionaire buddies, taking these 41 players, and making the Tiger Tour with all the parts of LIV that they want, all the parts of the PGA Tour that they want, the most player friendly, whatever you want to pitch this as? There is no tournament that currently exists that could not exist if Tiger made a phone call. They would go to Jack's place and play the Memorial. You'd have all the legacy still built in because they play the same events at the same courses. I feel a lot like the PGA Tour is unfortunately in a position like the NCAA is in. The NCAA exists because it's always existed. And that's just been the framework. And as schools got more powerful, as athletes have gotten more powerful, you see things like the NIL, you see things like all of this conference reorganization. We are like 10 years away from the NCAA no longer existing because it doesn't have to. If University of Texas and the University of Alabama and all these big schools came together and said, yeah, we're going to have a football championship. We're not going to do it under the NCAA and we're just going to put it all together. It would be just as popular as it is now. So what is stopping that from happening?
Well, Rick, I like where you're heading. I like this path we're going down. The view is great. And to take it one step further, we could even build a campus down there in Florida, have teams of 3, and all virtual since Tiger Woods can't walk. We'll play Monday nights.
He's already doing this. Right.
Strictly Monday nights. And we'll call it the TGL.
Oh, the golf league.
The golf league.
Yeah, you're right. But you know what I mean? Like it's just like, I know there's a lot of logistics in play, but we have learned, Greg, that the PGA Tour was not as protected as maybe anybody thought or considered, or maybe no one even thought or considered because it didn't matter before.
The reason the reason the PGA Tour wasn't protected, if you will, is because it's all the players make up the PGA Tour. Right. And so players have individual choice. And when there's no options, they play the best place to play, which is the PGA Tour. And all of a sudden you get another option and there's an opportunity to make more money. Some players decide to go that direction. So if Tiger, if he could fund that, which I'm sure he could, it would be something that's very possible to him. But it feels like Tiger wants the PGA Tour to exist. It feels like Tiger likes the PGA Tour. He thinks the PGA Tour should exist. And he is the most important aspect in that, right? He would be the most important domino to fall. So, I mean, it's his world and we're all living in it, which has been said before. But I think if you're a PGA Tour fan like me, you're glad to have Tiger on your side.
There is really, I mean, we talk about it all the time. The idea of the ramifications of Tiger Woods for the last 30 years will be felt for a long time. It's purses, it's players and how good they are, how many are playing. It is now like potentially the future of the league. It is crazy just how impactful on this sport, not a game. Talking about the sport, he has been incredibly impactful on.
Talk about practice.
We're talking about practice.
Not a game.
Not a game.
Talk about practice.
Anything else on this before we put a pin in it?
I guess this will not be the last time we talk about it.
It will not.
I have a feeling next week there's going to be discussions to be had about this as well.
So we will get a glimpse at the, I guess, 2024 schedule next week. That's what we've been promised.
Yep. I would imagine that's done already.
It has to be.
Yeah. And then Jaybird talks at East Lake.
Will that be his first? That'll be his first public.
Well, he usually talks at the Travelers Championship, but he was, since coming back from the health concerns, that'll be his first time.
All right. Not the last time we'll talk about it. We will shift our attention to the Wyndham Championship. We will release the amazing wagers and the impactful one and done selections. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
CBS Sports Network goes all in with the World Series of Poker. We're talking a full house of characters in a competition flush with cash. The World Series of Poker on CBS Sports Network.
And we're back. The Wyndham Championship, the final event of the regular season. We have talked about it quite a bit. Officially, Patrick, Justin Thomas, the biggest name on the outside looking in, 79th. Entering the week. He was 70th entering the 3M Open, MC there. Now he is 79th. I'm kind of done. I'm tired of talking about JT, honestly.
I had to write an article last week about his FedEx Cup playoff chances, and then I had to write another article this week about his FedEx Cup playoff chances.
They're still not good.
So he needs, at a minimum, a two-way tie for 18th would put him exactly tied with Austin Eckroat this week.
Minimum, because if other guys jump him or whatever.
So solo 18th, he's past that, but he needs a ton of help. Top 10's probably like 50-50-ish, and then top 5, he's probably feeling good about himself. But look, it's just been a bad year. It's his least amount of top 5s. I think he has 5 top 18 finishes all year in 20 starts, so that doesn't look too well for him. And the iron play, everything just kind of stinks. I mean, like you said, what more is there to say about this guy? He's lost strokes on approach in 4 straight events. That's the first time in his career. So it's not really looking like it's going to be coming back anytime soon. You have the good vibes of his first PGA Tour event being here when he opened with a 65 when he was like 2 years old. But outside of that, I mean, the course, if you can put it in the fairway, maybe. But I don't know. I really, like you, I don't have a lot more to say about him, except maybe his vice captainship was just taken by Stuart Sink for the U.S. Ryder Cup team.
I think that part is even more interesting, Greg. I mean, at this point, barring a win, like I'm done. I think he needs to play well, Greg. He's probably not going to play well. If he does, he might extend his season for one more week. He would need to get scorching hot to change the trajectory of this season and this Ryder Cup for him. But we are running out the clock on JT.
Yeah, it's just he has to get scorching hot right now on a golf course that does not suit his game. Right. I mean, what are the most important things here? Driving accuracy. That's always been a weakness for JT. Putting. I mean, he might be putting with a shoe this week.
He actually might. He told us he might.
So, I mean, I think this is not the place where you want to have your playoff hopes on the line, which is disappointing. I think he needs at least a top 10, just like Patrick. I mean, I look at this when you look at the FedEx Cup points right now, players are going to pass Austin Eckroat. That number anyway, right? So 594 is going to move. And I think you could conservatively say the target is 640 FedEx Cup points, which would be right now Steven Yeager's 64th. He's at 641. Matt Neesmith is at 65. He's at 637. So if you just say, hey, I mean, let's say 5 guys move from out to in, I think that's a pretty conservative number.
That would be normal, right, Greg?
Yeah, on the normal side of things. Now all of a sudden you got to get to 640. I mean, that makes it tough on anybody on the outside looking in. You start to think about how you move up a spot. Nobody can lose FedEx Cup points. So you have to it's all the spots that change are all about people who pass. And the more people who every person who jumps 594 stretches the top 70 number. So, I mean, you really need significant amount of points.
That would be sick if miscuts were minus 50.
Well, JT would be in the negative.
Well, yeah, he wouldn't. But that would be so sick if guys could go backwards.
I will say the one good thing, if you're Justin Thomas, is they're heading TPC Southwind, where he's won, Olympia Fields, East Lake, across those 3 golf courses. He has not finished outside the top 26 in his career.
You think he should cancel those?
It's one of those situations where we've got an 8-8 football team who looks down in the dumps, but I don't know if you want to see them week 1.
They're like a dangerous wild card team. They play their way in on wild card weekend. They get hot. They get a couple of good draws. Next thing
I don't know. The Justin Thomas that has never finished outside the top 26 in any of those events is very different than the one that is trying to get into them this week.
I have a rules question that's probably more compelling than the Justin Thomas. I understand it's a huge story, but everybody has talked about it for the last month, as they rightfully should. Question for you, Greg. So I've been doing this thing when I've been playing golf where I'm on the green, I mark my ball with a tee. I'm usually playing by myself, mark it with a tee, pick my ball up, clean it with my towel. Then what I will do, because I use the line on my ball, is I have to line up the ball to putt, but the tee's in the way. So what I do is I just pick up the tee and put it in my pocket and nobody cares. The little hole that my tee makes, would that count as a sufficient mark? Because you can use like anything to mark your ball on the green, right?
Once you remove your mark, the ball is in play.
But what if I remove my mark but leave another mark?
Can you change marks?
Can I change marks?
If you're playing by yourself, you can, Rick.
What if I'm playing on the PGA Tour?
I don't. There was a situation with Keegan Bradley where what happened? He picked up his mark and then adjusted the line and was penalized for it or something. And so the reason I remember this situation is when you mark your ball and you pick up the coin or whatever the marker is, the ball is in play. And so now you can't touch it. You'd have to remark to adjust, which you can do.
But what if I'm remarking it, Patrick, with the indention that my previous mark made?
No, I'm picking up what you're throwing down. My question is, so you are technically putting with your mark still down.
That's the $1 million. Oh, yes.
That's why you can't do it.
So if we agree that my second mark is a mark, I am putting with my marker still down.
That green could be littered with your marks.
Mark.
Yeah, it probably doesn't work.
So no, I recommend using a coin.
I do.
Coin is a penny.
Yes, I do most of the time, but I forgot it the other day. So I was using a tee, and then I was thinking, as I'm readjusting this line, does this count?
Rick, you get a lot of poker chip boys out there in Vegas on the greens?
Ton of poker chip boys. Almost exclusively poker chip boys.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Love a good big poker chip, no matter how close to the hole it is. Love it. They absolutely love it. Let's do our bets. How about that for this week? So if you've just joined us for the first time, what are you doing? We are allocated $100 from producer Josh. We take 50, put it on our matchup of choice, 30 on our finishing position of choice, $10 each on two separate outrights. Then we beg him for $50 more, but we'll get to that in just a second. Josh, please. Thank you. Let's start with the matchups. 50 bones. Patrick, where'd you go this week?
Sedgefield Country Club member Alex Smalley, -110 over the big hitting Australian Cam Davis. I picked on Cam Davis last week, kind of punched me in the face, threw me in the locker, but that is not going to hinder me doing it again. Alex Smalley's playing great. Just finished runner-up there at the John Deere Classic, snuck inside the top 10 at the Travelers Championship. A few nice finishes here as well, and the iron play looks red hot. So comfortable here. Cam Davis, he needs a big week for the FedEx Cup, but I don't really love the course fit for him.
Cam Davis is 69th in the FedEx Cup standings, technically on the inside, but certainly at risk. Greg, your matchup, please.
My matchup is Justin Suh over Adam Schenk. Adam Schenk's favored in this one, but I'm picking on him this week, even though I'm a huge fan. I've been big on him this year. I'm picking on him this week because he simply does not like this golf course. His best finish here is a T51. While his form has been very good coming in, I don't think it necessarily suits his game. There doesn't seem to be a big advantage to a lot of power, a lot of club head speed and distance, which is Adam Schenk's specialty. And I worry about that for him. And I think his resume, his record speaks to that. Justin Suh, on the other hand, has been extremely consistent. making, I think he's made 8 cuts in a row, and the putter has been red hot. And this is a rare week where I put a lot of emphasis on guys who are great putters. You think back to many of the winners here, like Brandt Snedeker, JT Poston, and Kevin Kisner as well. Guys who win here have a tendency of being great putters. And I think Justin Suh, not that I'm saying he's going to win, but I do think he's going to beat Adam Schenk.
The word consistency used there is part of the reason I found Steven Jaeger over Chris Kirk. Jaeger he's been very good, and he's got a lot of these finishes like 13th to 30th, right? Just a bunch of stuff like that, which usually ends up working out very well in a matchup market, especially against just a random opponent. In this case, it is Chris Kirk. So I will lay it. I think the juice is worth the squeeze. -130. Steven Jaeger over Chris Kirk. Finishing position. Ooh, Patrick. Your finishing position also shows up on my betting card as an outright wager. So we are simpatico on this golfer. Who is it?
Rick, you're crazy. You're a crazy guy over there. Outright on him. I did that last week as well. Aaron Rye.
You've seen this field.
Aaron Rye, top 20, 2-1. Englishman is playing great. Tommy Two Gloves is in the field this week as well.
Congrats.
I'm not too sure if they're paired together or not, but that could be a fun little thing going on. And he's just been, one of the most accurate drivers with the golf ball. The iron play is good. Has a bunch of great finishes. You think Rocket Mortgage, Canadian Open, top 20 last week. He's playing great. He might not have a chance for the European Ryder Cup team, but he might, be on the edge of Luke Donald's mind. And I mean, if he wins coming down the stretch here, I think that could change a lot.
What a whiff to not have Aaron Rye and Tommy Two Gloves Gainey. The 4 gloves on that would have been first time ever. First time ever. They could have put him then with Lucas Glover, no gloves.
Oh, keep the total at 4.
4 for 3 golfers. Never happened in the history of golf.
The glove group.
The glove group. Aaron
Did he
Rye.
get paired with Luke Donald?
Pardon?
Did he get paired with Luke Donald?
Aaron Rye will go out in the afternoon off the 10th tee with Henrik Norlander and Dylan Fratelli, while good old Tommy Two Gloves will get, oh boy, the early tee time, 4:12 a.m. Pacific. That would be 7:12 a.m. Eastern with Chesson Hadley and Eric Cole. They did Eric Cole dirty with that early tee time.
Wow.
Rookie of the year, maybe.
Is he technically a rookie? I guess he is technically a rookie. He should be.
Yeah, he's got to be in the running.
Who are the other options?
I have no idea.
Yeah, so
Taylor Montgomery.
Yeah.
Taylor Montgomery put too much on tape this year.
Yeah, peaked too early.
Would have been really good for his value to stop playing in February and stop putting games on film. Finishing position, Greg, please.
I like Harris English this week, top 30. You can get that at +150. I think Harris fits the mold for this golf course perfectly. His record here isn't stellar, although it's pretty good. He missed a cut last year, but made 8 cuts in a row before that. 3 of his events are top 25s. So I really like Harris English because of his ability on the greens. And recently, before the Travelers Championship, he was playing some really good golf. Travelers and the U.S. Open and Travelers and the Open didn't go great, but I think he comes back into form this week on a perfect golf course for him.
I actually did add Lucas Glover to my card here, plus 260 to finish inside the top 20. Missed the cut last week in about the best missed cut you could have ever asked for. Ball striking was there, lost a little bit with the putter, hoping that he can rebound this week on a golf course he's played like 15 times, something outrageous for Lucas Glover. Outrights and gents, we are very aligned with one of these. How about Greg, you tell everyone who made each one of our cards?
That would be Denny McCarthy. Now, it's felt this year, all season, like he was just ready to win. And I don't know if there's a better spot for him on tour. I really don't. I mean, he plays great at positional golf courses like the Travelers, like the Players Championship. Bermuda is his best surface. He's the best putter on the PGA Tour. I know he's third in strokes gained putting, but I have a feeling after this week he'll be ranked a little bit higher than that. So the putter is the main attraction for me because I think it's so important this week. But he's also accurate off the tee. So this kind of golf course, a guy in this kind of form, although he missed the cut at the Open, tied 6th at the John Deere, tied 7th at the Travelers, tied 20th at the U.S. Open, 2nd at the Memorial. The guy's ready for a win. And I couldn't leave this week. I couldn't leave him off the betting card this week.
Oh, Patrick, he is statistically the best player in the field over the last 36 rounds. He is statistically the best player in the field over the last 50 rounds. He is statistically the second best player in the field over the last 75 rounds. And he is statistically second best player in the field over the last 100 rounds. Denny McCarthy, what could possibly go wrong?
I think he's going to do the damn thing. Like Greg said, it's like everything's coming together for him. It's perfect time, perfect spot. Us three are all on him. Conviction play. It's never happened before in the podcast history. I don't think so, at least. So it makes almost too much sense. And if you want to throw another wrinkle in, he could be that wrinkle for the U.S. Ryder Cup team. I have not lost hope. The Denny McCarthy fan club is still here to stay. We mean business. We mean it this week.
We mean it this week. Who's your other golfer? It's actually the longest one that we have on the card this week.
Andrew Putnam, 80-1. He's gained over 4 strokes on approach in his last 2 starts. Top 10 in approach and putting over the last 3 months. Top 20 in driving accuracy as well. I think the boys are just sleeping on him. T5 at the Memorial, a place you got to keep the ball in the fairway. And so 80-1, Andrew Putnam. I need to make a splash where I promised the people out there we'd get back to at least even by year's end, and it's coming up quick. So hence the 81.
Yeah, good, smart idea. Go a little bit further down the board. I already said my second guy was Aaron Rye, unless in case you missed that. Greg, you are adding a golfer to your outright card who has not played particularly great as of late, but you are buying it.
He has a great record here, and that would be Sungjae Im. At the Wyndham Championship, he's played it 4 times. All 4 are top 25 finishes. 3 of them are top 10s. And his best ever finish was a tied 2nd last year. Sungjae's performance has been so-so. I completely agree. Rather pale if you're looking at rickrungood.com, which is definitely something that I highlight. I don't see any glaring problems with his game. I think that the iron play has been a little shy of what it normally is. But I think on a golf course like this, it gets a little bit easier on your approach shots. It puts a little more pressure on the putting, which he has shown the ability to spike on the greens, not just here, but over the past couple of weeks as well. So the upside for Sungjae is really high for me. And I quite frankly, I trust him with the driver. Even though it hasn't been typical Robo Sungjae, I still think he's close.
Denny, Sungjae, Putnam, Aaron Rye for the boys and the outright selections. Then, because we usually do so poorly in these, we beg Josh for an extra $50. He gives it to us. We're allowed to put it on anything that we want. Josh, wow. So first off, Patrick, I'm proud of you. First and foremost, you have turned over a new leaf. It only took you 44 events, 44 of 44, but you finally got to the finish line and are going to turn over a new leaf, and you are going to be a positive player. In fact, have you trademarked this name yet?
I have not. No. A ton of sports books are reaching out to me looking to boost it.
Yes.
But I'm holding out.
Yes,
but I told you guys,
I've been taking those phone calls all day long, and I said, "What? Take your offer, double it, call me back." Patrick's positivity parlay is on the board.
Yes, and look, we're down $408. We need to make a big splash with these 50 nuggies we got. So plus 1035, a little make the cut parlay. Billy Horschel, that's not going wrong. Alex Noren, the Swede, Justin Suh. Greg loves him, so that means he's in through the weekend. Andrew Putnam, he might honestly win this golf tournament. And for good vibes only, some of these guys I've talked really bad about in the past, but this is the one that's going to turn it around. This is the one he's going to need a birdie on 18. He's going to get it for us. Justin Thomas.
I hope 4 of these guys make the cut. and the fifth one is still out on the golf course on Friday night after coverage ends, and you've got to go through the shot link of like sweating Andrew Putnam to like make par on the last or whatever. It would be so good.
That's why you do it
after coverage ends. The worst form of sweating.
I'm really nervous about Justin Thomas.
They end coverage with a birdie
on like 17.
Yeah.
And then you have to watch 18 on Shot Tracker.
Doug Gim, top 40 for me. He's been playing great golf. I don't care that he blew up at the Scottish Open. He got right back on track next week. Greg, you found another way to get a little action down on Justin Suh.
Justin Suh, it has been, he's made every cut since the Byron Nelson, which is back in May. The performances have been, okay, I would say. They're, tied 16th is his best finish in that stretch. Tied 56th is his worst. The putter has been a real strength of his, and I put a lot of emphasis on that this week. The other thing that I really like about Justin Suh, not an overly long hitter, but he is very accurate off the tee. Got a chance to watch him play a little bit at the 3M Open last week. Loved what I saw with that golf swing. So I think he's ready to play well this week, and I like plus 125 for a top 40.
All right. Well, we've got just one final thing to do. Paul in the chat, not super confident about JT's chances to get the job done. The final thing we need to do, the one and done. The one and done. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Wake up to football highlights and news from around the world with the one and only Morning Footy team.
Rise and shine, football fans. Welcome to Morning Footy.
Start your all-day football craze with Morning Footy, part of the all-new Galazzo Network.
Galazzo, and we're back. Just put a bow on this. The candidates for Rookie of the Year: Eric Cole, Taylor Montgomery, Thomas Dietrich, Vincent Norman, Sam Stevens. Vincent Norman has a win, but Eric Cole by a mile, right?
Yeah. My vote's for Cole.
Do you get a vote?
On this podcast, I
do. It is valuable on this podcast, and I agree. Is that a consensus? 3-0? Yeah.
Yeah, my vote doesn't matter, but it would be 3-0.
Yeah, unless, I don't know, maybe if Dietrich wins this week, and I don't know. But as of now, it is Mr. Eric Cole. One and done. The final regular season event, about 1-3, I think, for first, and then a ton of money on the line the next couple of weeks. And there is a consensus at the top. We'll get there in just 1 second. Down at the bottom at $9.3 million. Kyle has opted for Sam Burns. He is a lone wolf in that way. Plenty of upside. Patrick and me. Oh, Patrick, does this work out well, or I can't remember. This doesn't work out well, right? When it's you and I?
We've done it twice. Max Homa, Torrey Pines.
That worked out.
And John Rahm US Open. So both top 10.
Oh, beauty. We're winning this week. Who do we have?
We've got Russ Bus Henley, the favorite of this golf tournament, the man who should have won in 2021. But he missed out on that 6-man playoff entirely. 3 straight top 10 finishes here. He knows how to win now. He won in Manitoba, got the monkey off his back. So I love him this week. And I love the setup of this board, especially at the top.
Yes, we'll get there in just 1 second. Greg, you gave us the pitch on Sungjae Im a bit earlier, and here he is making it to your to your one and done wager.
I would love to have been able to play Denny McCarthy this week. That was not in the cards, but fortunately Sungjae Im was. And I just love the course history here. And I don't think his performance has been so poor to stray me away from that. So this is the kind of week I look at this golf course for him as somebody who's maybe, middling or not really doing much. This is the kind of golf course that can send him in an upward direction heading into the playoffs. So love Sungjae, love that I'm lone wolf, love that there is opportunity at the top of the board.
Opportunity is a knock-in. Sian Ajad went with Steven Yeager. The fans, Kyle M. and Mark, the three at the top, have all selected the same golfer. They will move in, what's the word for tandem when there's three?
Trio?
Trio?
Unison?
I was hoping for a more three
Lockstep?
specific word. They will move in trio. Hopefully,
that's not it.
Down the board as we pass them. And their selection is JT Poston for this week. What do we think about that? We like that they're all the same. JT's been playing well.
It's a good play.
He's the best.
He's been playing a lot, though. He's been playing a lot.
Do you think that 72nd hole disaster will frazzle him from last week?
I just think,
no.
Me neither, but I'm trying here, Greg. I'm trying hard.
Is this week 5 or 6 for him in a row?
I could tell you. He's been going. He's been overseas. He's got to be tired at this point.
Yeah, he played the
John Deere Scottish Open 3M.
Here. A lot of golf.
This is 5 in a row?
This is 5 in a row.
Yeah, this is 5 in a row. He's got to be tired. Come on. I like him a lot, but like T52.
T74.
Yeah.
Missed the cut.
Or missed the cut. Get rested up for the FedEx Cup playoffs. You're good. Yeah. Come on, you're gonna be fine. Have a great little playoff run. We don't need you here. Does he listen? What are the chances he listens?
I mean, he tweeted at Kyle on Sunday. He's aware.
I'm sure the odds are low, but there are actually a lot of things that we say that end up getting back to players, which is like a little bit scary at times. I've said some things and I've gotten like, oh, so-and-so heard about that.
That makes a lot now. Player relations. I never understood why some guys would just like scoff at me.
Yep. Player relations.
I'm joking.
So to recap, and this thing has tightened, man. It is tightened at the top, and there is, oh my God, there's $14 million left on the line, $15 million left on the line for our audio-only listeners. Mark, 16.6 million, JT Poston. Kyle M, 15.4 million, JT Poston. The fans, 14.5 million, JT Poston. Rick, 14.2. Russell Henley. Sia, 12.4. Steven Yeager. Greg, 11.3. Sungjae Im. Patrick, 9.36. Russell Henley. Kyle, 3.33. Sam Burns. Those selections for the Wyndham Championship one and done. Wow. What a week.
Let's go.
What a week.
Will they have the magic board that shows us the outcomes? Yes or no? No. They just do it with graphics now, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say no, but if they do, I really hope it's Mark who has to do it.
I would empty the bank account for a live segment where they just cut to Mark on a giant touch screen that he didn't get a chance to use before, explaining playoff scenarios to us. I would die. It would be the best day of my life.
It'd be very entertaining. Even if he knew the thing like the back of his hand, I'd love to see that.
I mean, that's the thing. He knows it. He just, I need him to show me on the technology.
You want to see tech struggles.
Correct. Yeah.
In public.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I want. Any final thoughts, gents, before we get out of here?
Comcast top 10 ends this week, so that's probably why Sam Burns is in the field, trying to get inside the top 10 there. Aon risk reward challenge as well.
Okay,
and
hold on a second. These are the absolute worst sponsorship deals on tour. No, I will take that back. Comcast Business Tour top 10 is.
Yes.
Because you're supposed to get, first off, no one knows, no one cares. None of these guys even play the last week.
Well, that's why it was originally the Wyndham Rewards.
Right.
And it lasted 1 year.
Then it went to something else. Then it went to Comcast Business. I can't even remember what the other one was.
So Comcast Business Tour top 10, at least they get some mentions throughout the year that they wouldn't otherwise get.
It's not valuable. There's no value in that.
I always wonder about that.
Yeah.
But here nor there.
I actually do like the risk reward thing. I actually think they should make that a bigger deal. Like this whole, here's the scoring averages, et cetera. I actually do like that. I actually think it should be a bigger deal. I stumbled upon who is leading the Aon risk reward challenge. Any guesses?
I know for a
You know?
fact.
I don't.
But to let Greg think for a little bit more, I like that idea. They should lean into it into tournaments. You know how at 3M they had drinks for every birdie on a par 3? They should do that at every Aon risk reward challenge.
They should at least have like a board dedicated to it at that green that you can see what the current standings are, what the scoring average of this hole is, if you hit it in the water. Like, I actually think that there's been an embrace of technology and scoring averages and strokes gained and all this. I actually think the idea is good. I think the execution could be a lot better.
It could be very cool. I agree. And it's hard to know. Like, we should have an idea of where that stands.
There's a chance that I don't even find out what hole it is until like Sunday when I accidentally see it. Like, it's gotta be bigger than that.
Yeah,
Rick, come on, it's the par 5.
I know. The other thing is, I did see when I was out there for the first time, they have it designated at the tee box. There's like a little marker.
Oh, so the players know.
So the players, in theory, could see it. There is a little marker there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So who is it? Who's leading?
Greg, you guess. I'm like 94% sure about this.
Guess, Greg.
Can I ask one? Is it a top 10 player in the world?
We'll tell you he's in the field this week.
In the field this week?
I'm already wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong.
So it went from to a fact to 94% to wrong.
Oh, sorry. No, Patrick's right. I thought it was the guy in second. I thought was in first. So he is not. He is not in the field this week. So you're definitely not going to get.
Okay. I'll guess Scotty Scheffler.
Fourth. Not a bad guess.
Okay.
Patrick, tell the people.
House Tyrrell Hatton.
Wow.
I thought it was Steven Yeager. Yeager's in second. Which Yeager's played 94 holes. Hatton's played 50.
Wow.
And it's just relative to par. This whole thing,
How has he played 94 holes?
I got to fix everything. They really should. I really need to be golf czar. I got to fix all this stuff bothers me.
Yeah, I think your numbers are off.
What do they have to go to only designated events or something?
No, it's
or
not
non-designated.
It's by round.
Average per round.
So he's played 94.
Oh my God, I'm an idiot. Never mind.
Rounds.
Yeah, that's on me. I was thinking 94 tournaments.
No,
played in this year.
Yeah,
94 rounds. Fleetwood's only played 46. He shouldn't even be eligible. I don't know. It's the whole thing.
Justice for Yeager.
Okay. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you for letting me vent my frustrations to you on this beautiful Tuesday. We'll be back Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for round-by-round recaps of the Wyndham Championship. For now, producer Josh does all the hard work behind the scenes. Greg DuCharme available on Twitter at The Real GFD. Patrick McDonald available at Amateur Status. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.